Here. Okay, so today we begin third mode. There's a bunch of things. Third mode in general is it's not easy, but it's predictable. And as we've already seen with the slow stuff, but there's just a few scale type things that need to be understood. You'll probably do them that way anyway, but we'll talk about them briefly. And then just a few mode changes. It does a few very predictable things. Again, let's sing the scale so I can get my levels, and then I'll speak a little bit about third mode and what it does. And then we'll start reading music. So, ni pa vuga di kesoni ni zorke di gabupani. Cool. All right. So third mode, slow third mode. This one, same with the fast third mode. Its basis note is ga. It goes from ga in general to ke, and then from there, it can go down to pa, and then kind of there it could also go down to ni, and then somehow, somewhere in here, it goes back to ga. And so again, you have the progression da 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 da, and it just kind of follows that pattern. Just because it is the slow third mode, it takes a little bit longer to go between them. And sometimes what you end up doing, so in general, if you begin here in ga, you end a piece on ga. And then in the midst of it, if you somehow finish a statement, you normally end on ga. And the one thing that kind of differentiates this, I would say, from the brief one, is that oftentimes when it goes up to ke, it doesn't descend to pa immediately. Sometimes it actually sits on ke and goes into kind of a plagal first feel. So plagal first mode. And what that means is that we take ke, and that becomes the basis of our scale. And so da 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 da. So it kind of goes here, and then goes again ke in the diatonic scale, and kind of goes between ke and ni, or ke and high pa. And kind of sits here for a little bit of time. So we kind of change our location and reside here, and then eventually this goes back down to ga. So that's the major kind of neat thing that it does. So does that make sense, everybody? And this one again is diatonic, diatonic scale. Although this one, as we saw before, it has moments of enharmonicity. Enharmonic. Although grave mode, the one version of grave mode is much more enharmonic, I would say. And then because we kind of go between diatonic and enharmonic, what we have to do is introduce 3 new symbols. So, which we haven't really seen before. No. Maybe we've seen it, I'm not sure. You can tell me. One of them that we have seen for sure is this guy, the circle with the hook on it. So this is essentially your enharmonic symbol. And what this says, and I believe this is what it means, is that whatever is below this is going to be 6, 12, 12. From the symbol down. So the symbol, wherever this is sitting, the note below it will be 6 away, 6 units away. The note below that will be 12. The note below that will be 12.
6 units away from what?
The note that it sits on. So let me give an example. So if we have zo, and this one sits on top of zo, whatever symbol it sits on top of, but that the note itself is zo, that means from zo to ke will be 6. from ke to the will be 12.
Oh, okay.
And from the to ga will be 12.
So that's operative as long as that symbol's on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this, once you see this, it's operating until you see something to cancel it out.
Okay, so that happens at the end of Let My Prayer.
Yes. On the hearken unto me, O Lord?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what that one tells, so essentially to simplify it tremendously, if it's on zo, that essentially means zo flat.
Right, yeah.
Zo flat. So, and then if it is on, let's see, if it's on ga, then it means that you're going to have vu sharp, because 6 below ga is vu. It would be vu sharp, whereas normally it's 8, because 12, 10, 8. So in this case, it's going to be 12 till 6 to get up to vu. So that gives you vu sharp.
Okay, so the difference between if it was just diatonic, it would normally be 10, 12, 12, but since it's enharmonic, it's 6, 12, 12, and so basically it's going to move everything up a half step.
Exactly. Yeah, like up a little bit, so
Yeah.
that it's a little bit closer between vu and ga, as it would normally be. And then if it is on vu, that means you have essentially vu flat. And that's because now you have between ni pa vu, between vu and pa is 6. So ni pa vu, vu pa, that's your 6 right there. So essentially that creates a vu flat. So this is the one thing. Have we talked about this guy before?
I don't think so. Not
this
I haven't seen this anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and this is all on the scale chart. If you look, I think in the bottom left corner, and it has this summary. But essentially, what I heard someone say before, that this one essentially means from wherever you're sitting, 6, 12, 12,
Okay.
down. And so there's that guy.
So does that imply when you see that symbol, you're going to be like fairly close to the note it's on?
No, it just means that from zo, it only affects from zo to ga.
Oh, okay.
From zo.
So after that, if you go outside that range, you're back in diatonic.
You're back in normal, yeah.
Ooh, that's kind of weird.
So
it's like a local. Oh.
Yeah,
a
localized distortion.
A localized distortion. Yeah, it's like a.
Yes. Correct. Very good class. So ga di ke zo ke di ga.
So it doesn't change the whole thing in enharmonic after that point. It changes like just the stuff around that note in enharmonic.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is weird.
So
okay.
So that's why sometimes what you end up seeing is that you see this. Sometimes you see this symbol multiple times, but you see it on different notes. And so then the question is, what? But I'm already in this scale. It's like, well, no, you're in this scale, but when it's on zo, and then they probably put it again because they wanted it to be on ga, and so it keeps switching back and forth. So yeah, it's a localized disturbance in the scale. So, and we'll see it in practice. And what my thought is that you'll probably do it anyway. So the fact that it's there is just a helpful thing. But from a theoretical standpoint, there's a reason for it.
So it changes the note it's on down.
It changes the 3 notes below it.
3 notes below
the intervals, the 3 intervals below it.
Right. Okay. So if it's on zo, then that means that if you drop a note, it's zo flat.
Yes.
Okay.
Or
if you go down a note.
Yeah. So does that make sense to people, at least initially? No?
It does. It's kind of weird, but it does make sense.
Okay, definitely makes sense, but no.
It makes more sense than other stuff has. I'm not so completely clueless, but I'm still clueless.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We'll when we
I'll have
sing
to see it in action.
Yeah. And so then the other, so that's one thing. And then what you have, the other two that we'll have introduced is what are called our general flats, which I think we talked about before. Did we? General flat and sharp. So general meaning that it applies, like what we've seen so far is your one-time use flat and sharp.
Right.
This one applies forever until somehow you cancel it. So your general flat is this guy. And then your general sharp, if I recall, I'll have to get out the scale chart just to make sure I'm right. But your general sharp is this guy.
Correct.
Okay. Oh, cool.
It's on the chart.
Yeah.
Yay.
All right. And so the way that they work is that the one tells you, so let's say this one in general always sits on K, if I recall. Which that means that K is not, nothing happens to K, but this equals VU flat. Oh, sorry, ZO flat.
Right, okay.
ZO flat. So if you see this on K, that means that ZO is always going to be flat from then on until you see something to cancel it out.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
Okay?
Run that by me again.
So if you see this symbol on K,
Okay.
it means ZO is going to be flat.
Why not just
Why-
write it flat on the zone?
So yeah, I'm sitting here
You
going.
see that too?
Yeah.
But I think so. This is something that's pretty much, if I recall here I heard someone speak on this, and not like there was a lecture just on this general flat, but when I heard him talk specifically on this, I believe he said that this is primarily used in tone 3, and it's the only place it's really used, unless something is imitating tone 3. So this is only used in tone 3, and if you notice what we said before was that you go ga ga di ke ke, and you're sitting on ke all the time. So they put this on the note just to say, okay, from there on, your zo is gonna be flat, and you go zo ke zo ni zo ke, as opposed to ke zo ni zo ke, which you would have in the diatonic.
I think you.
So-
Looking back over my notes, you kind of talked about this a little bit when we were going through brief mode 3.
Okay, yeah. Here
I forgot all about it, but I guess I might.
Here it makes more sense to talk about it because it comes in a lot more.
Yeah, because I remember seeing that. I don't think really, or you must have if you were talking about it.
Yeah. Block that section out of your and so, but yeah, so this is your, I think you might see why it's useful. And I think the only reason why it's done like this is because we have a tendency to sit on K. Whereas if you put it on Zo, we hit Zo for like a second. Dun, 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 dun. So you put a flat there. If you put this one, are you going to remember that it's like that? Probably not. However, if you see da 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 da, and you have a plasma there, and then you have this guy, now you know, okay, from then on, this is how I'm going to operate in that local region.
Until what symbol tells you not to operate that way?
That's a good question, and I don't know.
Oh, thank you.
The major reason why I don't know is because when I've read about this and when I've asked people, they said until it is deactivated. And my question always, what deactivates it? And they're like, another symbol. And I'm like, what is that? Like what? And so here's what I've come to the conclusion of, at least generally. And books have done this too, where they say until it is deactivated. Again, by what? Any of the modulants. Anything that says, like let's say, if you see this and you're operating like that, and then you see this guy, that's your K diatonic.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells you now we're back in diatonic mode. This symbol has been canceled. Okay, so if you see any of the diatonic phores, all those scale changers, whether it be what is it, Pa, which is your, sorry, this was Pa, this is K. So this is your Pa, this is K. If you see me, the little squiggle guy.
Yeah, which is what this music does. The little
Yeah.
squiggle guy.
Yeah, you see him. And then the high knee, just because we will see it, is your little squiggle, and he's got a little attachment to his head.
Mm-hmm.
So this,
He's a unicorn.
yeah,
So that turns off the
this is
flat as
high
well?
knee. Yeah, so all these would turn off because this says, okay, go to the diatonic scale on these. Same if you're going to a different, like a hard chromatic or soft chromatic scale,
Oh, I guess
that
that's
would turn this off
okay.
as well. If you see, I believe, if you see a different one of these, like if I was operating with the general flat and I see the general sharp, the general flat ceases to exist.
Okay.
You know, any of these types of things. The only thing that I haven't figured out is in the middle of the music, if you happen to see, you know, ga, or let's say ga, and you see your little guys underneath it for your ga on the diatonic scale. I don't know, this is your martiria in the midst of the music. I don't know if this cancels it. I haven't gotten a good answer, because sometimes it seems like it doesn't apply anymore. But I don't think this can cancel anything. I think this is just telling you where you are and what scale you're operating in. So I don't think that cancels it. So I think it's just mainly your modulants and the end of a hymn. You know, the end of a hymn cancels everything and takes it back. Resets. It clicks the reboot button, or the default. So I think that's what I'm going to say tentatively until I'm proved wrong, or until someone says I'm misguiding the people.
Anathema.
Yeah, exactly.
Leading them astray.
So, does that make sense at least for this guy initially?
Yeah.
Okay, and this one, your sharp, I believe sits on ga in general, and in this one means vu sharp. Okay. So that essentially means instead of there being 8 commas or moria between ga and vu, this is going to be 6 or somewhere in there, something smaller. But I think we'll again sing it like that. Just to make sure, is that what the scale chart says? Just
Yeah.
to make sure I'm on the right path.
I mean, yeah, the way we're saying it, I'm not sure you'd notice the difference.
Yeah.
Two intervals.
Yeah, I don't think you would. I mean we're gonna sing it mostly like a Western scale anyway. So, the video you don't hear this, but yeah. So we're just gonna box and such. But just to let you know, there's gonna be this symbol, the enharmonic symbol throughout the music. Certain circumstances it does matter because sometimes zo has to be flat and it will always be flat. But other times it gets canceled and then you operate in a different way. So, and we'll see that even in Lodi Pride, I believe. So, okay. Does that make? Is that a good place to stop on this for a moment and actually read music?
Yes.
Except for one thing.
Yes.
On 106, I see that there's a little general flat there, but you haven't canceled the general sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that, and then over here.
Okay, well let's look at that real quick. I'll bring it up on the screen. So let's go from the beginning of the third mode and look at all the sharps and flats just to kind of go through it. So at the beginning we have Lord I. You have your sharp there on vu.
Mm-hmm. That's
no
specific, right?
Yeah, it's just your regular sharp one-time use.
Okay.
And then you see at the end, beginning of the second line,
Right.
you have your general flat. So that says that from then on, zo will be flat,
Which is the next note.
and it's sitting on ke. So, hearken unto me. And sometimes, just to let you know, sometimes you might put in a hearken. Sometimes you might do that just because. Okay, so that keeps operating until hearken unto me, O Lord, on the bottom line. And then if you look at Lord I have, on Lord you have a symbol for a diatonic high knee.
Okay.
So that cancels everything. We're back in diatonic. And that's because if you look at the Isan there, Lord I, the Isan goes to ke, have cried unto thee. Then we get our general flat again. So we go back to having hearken. Okay, now we get to answer your question. And the only reason why I know is because I just sang that. So that's our general flat on zo. And then zo ke zo ni zo ke di. We go up to ni pa ni zo ke. Ni pa ni zo ke di ke zo ke. So that's where that flat isn't operating on zo. It's actually operating on high pa. Unto me. And then still general flat until we get to the middle of the third line on when. And again, as you notice, we have your ke diatonic symbol.
Sorry, You said the general flat's still operative,
Mm-hmm.
and that's even though there's this particular.
Yep, that's just a one-time use flat.
So that doesn't turn it off.
No,
It's
yeah.
just the modulants that do that.
Just the modulants, I think.
Oh, okay, so here.
So now
even though they're all in the same group, they don't behave the same way.
Okay, that's
where I'm getting confused.
What I should have done is probably put an equal sign. I was copying what the Greek table had.
Mm-hmm.
So that one, let me bring it up on my screen real quick. Website. Okay.
Okay, so what that really means is that symbol over cat means
Means
that
Zo
over
flat.
every
That
instance
is
of
Zo
Zo.
flat.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. So is that misleading?
That is, yeah, that's why I was really confused, because I thought all of a sudden you had your Zo's flat, or sharped, or whatever they were doing, and then all of a sudden there was this thing that was flat.
That's really just a deliberate pedagogical maneuver. So like you'll now that you have caught out on this error that you'll remember.
Yes,
That's what that means.
he's such a good teacher.
That's
isn't
why.
he?
That's why I did these things only for the students. No, that was they're in this. Yeah, they're in the same box because ke with the general flat means zo,
Okay.
zo flat, and ga with the general sharp means vu sharp. You have to think about how I could put an equal sign there. But then, for some reason, and I think maybe for symmetry purposes, the Greek version had the two different sides were backwards, so that they're symmetric going towards the center.
Maybe they have boxes within boxes.
Yeah.
That's.
Okay.
All right. Well, we know
I
what it means
mean,
anyway.
Yeah.
the equal sign helps, but knowing that these guys don't behave the same way that the other guys behave.
Right. Yeah. Somehow to signify what's the general sharp and flat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see how that would be confusing. I don't know why. I guess this scale chart assumes that you already know things, which is not ever a good thing to.
Not a good thing.
It's not a good thing for a helping aid to assume. So I'm glad. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So yes.
Okay.
And then on When I Cry in the third line, we have ke diatonic again. We switch. Well, we don't switch scales, but we clarify the scale.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when our Isan again goes up to ke. Whenever the Isan goes up to ke, at least in this type of music, it tells you something fancy is going to happen in tone 3. And then if you notice, we get our general flat in the fourth line again, because it was turned off by the diatonic. And then at the end, we have our enharmonic symbol. And that's pretty much because to thee hearken unto me, O Lord, as opposed to O Lord. So we want to make sure that stays high. The vu should stay high. Does that make sense how these work back and forth? And the only reason let me do one thing.
Sorry, what note are you on there? At the end of the fourth line? Where do you end up?
On the fourth line.
Yeah, where you get the enharmonic symbol.
4. That's ska.
That's ga.
Mi I di ke di ga vuga.
I'm looking at the end. The very end is enharmonic, which is
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Because you're in diatonic except for that.
Mm-hmm.
You flattened all the Zos.
How that's going to sound?
Oh, that's just so. Hearken unto me, O Lord, as opposed to O Lord. So you just
I can't hear the difference yet.
you just bring them closer.
I know, but when you sang, I couldn't hear the difference.
Okay.
Oh no.
I hope I sang them different.
No, I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
I just. It's
Well, there's
like-
not much difference.
Yeah.
No, it's just that I didn't
two
perceive it.
intervals.
I know from the symbol but I said, how is it going to sound? And it sounds almost the same.
It sounds almost the same. I
It
agree.
scares me because you can't produce it right.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I mean, it is an ear training thing.
Yeah.
It's an ear
I didn't
training.
hear any difference.
It's both ear training as well as vocal training. Being able to reproduce them.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Well, we'll learn it, I guess.
But let's say, for example, me, oh Lord. That's an extreme, way extreme example.
Okay.
As opposed to, oh Lord. So the original interval is not what I sang the first time, but you're transferring between the two. Is that?
Well, I just have to tune
Okay.
my ear.
Yeah, we'll sing it in a minute. And the reason that we're switching scales, so let's say the third line of Lord I've Cried on the first page. So we switch from the general flat on Zo, and we go on Lord I, on the end of the third line, we have Lord I. If we didn't, because we canceled the flat, I have cried unto thee. So we kind of have a blessed are you, O Lord, teach me your precepts. Kind of a Nevlogitaria type feel, your plagal first mode. Brief version. However, if I didn't cancel that flat, it'd be Nizo ke ke pa ni zo ke ni zo ni pa ni zo ke, which doesn't make any sense. You're not switching scales, and it's Lord, I have cried unto thee, which is not what it is. Just gives a whole different feel to the thing. And if you sing it like that, it doesn't give the intensity. Whereas if you do change scales, it almost seems like something has changed, and we're getting a little more intense, especially with the Isan jumping up. So there's a reason for it, musically as well as theoretically. So, okay, shall we sing some things?
Okay.
Was there someone in the hallway?
I heard somebody there.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah?
Yeah.
yeah,
You think
I was
Ron was there?
could be father.
I wasn't sure if should I check? Let's see.
Or we could just live dangerously.
It's dangerous.
Yes.
Oh, someone in the over in the closet area. The light's on over there.
Interesting.
Right. So, shall we sing from the beginning? All right. Nipahu. Na. Oh, and the intonation for this one again is na na. Pretty much the same one as the brief one. Yeah, the epic one. Na na. That's your ga. Pretty much all the epic they end on whatever your basis note is gonna be.
Right.
Yeah.
So Ra is the basis.
Yep. And which is what it says at the top of the page here. The ichos.
There it is.
Yeah, with the ga. So, everyone see that? Okay. So, na na, Lord, I cried, thee ke thee gavu ga, thee ga thee ke thee ga thee ke zo ke. Rest. Zo ke zo ni zo ke thee ke thee ga thee ke zo ke thee ga thee ga vo ga thee ga thee ke thee ga ga vo pa ni zo ke pa ni zo ni pa ni zo ke zo ke zo ke zo ni zo ke di did that make sense to people?
Yeah. That's just a one-time flat.
Yeah, but like the rhythm's there.
Oh, no, the rhythm.
Is that good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I from a 10. Kenny Zor Kelly 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 Gaga Vi Kezoni Zor Kelly Kelly Gaga Pani zorke zorke diga Okay.
What is that symbol? It's the E song with the what is that? Down one symbol.
Oh, is this the first time that we've seen it?
First time I've seen it.
This is exciting. This is a beautiful day.
Which one is
Yay!
that?
Beautiful day.
I think I can kind of tell what it is from what you were singing, but coming across it, I had no idea what you're supposed to do with
It's
it.
the apostrophos.
Yeah, the
Apostrophos, thank you.
Under the
Yeah, under the E song.
So what it is, we have this,
I don't think it's on my chart.
like this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it happens to have the varia before it, which is a general thing because normally, if you ever see something like that, you normally see the varia, which tells you nadam, or something of that nature.
Uh-huh.
So, or some chanters do something weird that I can't do.
No,
So,
never.
what this means is essentially exactly the same thing.
Oh, is that right?
Mhm.
So the only reason why they do that is sometimes they compress the music a little bit, and so they just put this one underneath it. And this is where I think we mentioned at the beginning of the class, I think, is that if you're going, we read left to right, and if we're ascending, we read bottom up. If we're descending, we read top down. So, like in this case, bottom up. So this one equals this followed by this. In this case, top down. So this one followed by this guy.
Okay.
Where's this?
And the only reason for doing that is
on
what?
the other page.
Oh, I thought it was
Down
the first
here.
page.
Maybe slight
Oh.
music impression. I'm not really sure. I don't know when. I haven't seen any particular reason why they do it in certain circumstances. I just know oftentimes you see it.
It's weird because I've never seen it, but now it's in this short piece twice.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason. I mean, because then you seem like you need to compress on the last line. There's plenty of room there
Yeah.
to write it out.
I think they just get bored.
Yeah.
You know, it hasn't been complex enough, so let's throw in something.
Okay, but that doesn't mean anything different than they would be side by side.
Exactly. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. The one thing that you won't see that one of my friends in Pittsburgh, when he saw this, he thought he could do that with other things. So if you notice, it was kind of humorous once we realized this. You know, this one, that's one thing because
Uh-huh.
you're staying the same and going down. So
Right.
this is obviously descending. He did this. That makes no sense whatsoever because you're going up and then you're going down. That doesn't exist. So, pretty much you only see it with the Isan. Or sometimes what you do see is you might see down one, you know. So,
Okay.
sometimes you see that too. And in general, again, this one I think is often preceded by a very your stress. Is that satisfactory?
Yeah.
Okay.
On the first page, third line,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to Lord, which is the knee, right? And the symbol, is that indicating you're going diatonic?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is that all it means?
Yep.
Yeah, that's just.
Where were you not diatonic is what
Oh, because
was my question.
Well, what is?
Beginning of line 2.
Oh, so
I'm
what?
missing, okay.
Oh, no, wait.
Okay.
Whoa, okay.
Sorry.
So okay, so let me. This is a fine
Oh.
a tricky point to make.
Oh no.
No, it was not that tricky. But okay, so what that symbol really does, this symbol, he cancels.
So the general flat.
He cancels this guy. So that one makes that guy go
So
away.
it's a way to turn it off, plus remind you that, hey, it's diatonic.
Exactly. But
Okay,
so
I
but
can't
if
find
you
it. Wait.
if you think about it,
Oh, I see.
okay, so what we have is
All right.
12, 10, 8, 12, 12, 10, 8. Okay, hopefully we've kind of
Yep.
beaten that to death.
Okay.
I think I know that one by now.
So you're doing it just for that
Well-
zo that's following it, right? I mean, to make the effect.
Well, here's what. Here's
Oh,
the
I'm
thing.
sorry,
So,
just in
mi,
this
fa,
piece, I'm
bu,
sorry,
ga.
okay.
So this is ga
Right.
here. This is V, K, zo. Okay, so this is diatonic scale. If I happen to put your little symbol there, or
Right.
I'll put him here,
That's flat.
which means
zo.
that you have a flat on zo.
Right.
What ends up happening is that this 10 becomes 6, this becomes 12, and this becomes 12. Okay? And this one has to change because this changed. So then you have 12 there. But then this is still 8, 10, 12. Okay? So this local thing changed.
Yeah, before.
So
But now it's going back to diatonic, in which case, sure.
So essentially what you're doing by that symbol is you're just canceling this section.
Right. So the zo
and then
is not
this
flat.
returns to where it was, what it was before, just because this interval
Okay.
has to remain the same.
I was just wondering, so the zo, frankly, is not flat there, following the knee, or it's...
Following the knee. Yep, following
It's
that,
not
that knee
flat.
diatonic. Right.
Okay.
It will.
So that-
It returns
so-
to
okay.
the rules of the diatonic scale in terms of
Well,
flat.
right, so it's not a flat zo, so that it's done for effect for that particular...
Right. So that's why
I see
hopefully
what you're saying.
it was clear when I said Lord, I have cried unto thee. It's not
Right,
cried
no, you
on.
did that.
Yeah.
Got that.
So hopefully, does that
Now it's coming together. Okay.
cool?
All right. Thanks.
Okay. And does that the numbers make sense to people? Everyone?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Any other questions that are fine? Rhythm issues, everything good in general?
Yeah, now that I know what that
Yeah,
thing
no.
is.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do Let My Prayer, and then we'll do them all together.
Okay.
We're doing... Oh, which one?
The one right there.
Oh.
All right. Na na vike viga voga voga vike vike ke viga voga vike ke zo zo ke vi ga ga vo vo pa ke ni. Sorry,
No, me just need, right?
Kenny. That's my fault. So vo pa Kenny zo ke vi ga vi ke zo ke rest ke zo ke vi ke zoni zoni papa ni zo ke vi ke zo ke vi ga vi
di ke di ga vuga vuga.
Alright, how's that? Okay.
Yep.
Well, one before that is sine castellifero, is that? Or is that not?
Where are we?
One before the second line.
Before the second line.
You know, on the second line.
On the second
before.
line.
Is that
Oh,
sine
yes.
castellifero? Is that
Mhm.
shortened?
I sans be. Yeah, that's the C
So the B
castellifero.
is, the B is, okay.
But the B.
I know, that's what's,
Oh yeah, that's kind of a weird one.
Yeah.
B, okay. Sans B.
So what ends up happening there? Let's see. Like this, I think. No, there's no thingy there. Oh, yes, there's. Is that it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. It's funny when you get used to these patterns and you eventually know you're okay.
Wait, there's no body in there.
No? Oh, okay. I wonder if that's a mistake or whether I'll make.
Oh, you think there should be one?
I don't know. I mean, very often there is. But I think it's only a varia if this one's followed by an apostrophe, which just down one symbol, as opposed to this is down two.
Right.
So I think that's just one of those rules. Nons B. So sans B. So the B goes on this symbol because it's got a place to sit. So sometimes what you see is that it actually, sometimes they write it like that, where this bar only extends that far, but it depends. Sometimes it extends the entire way.
All right, so that part of that symbol it belongs to that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess it would be more clear if it was like that. Is it?
Well, they sort of they're going right up to it. So.
Yeah, right up to this
Yeah.
edge here.
Okay,
So
well, I guess I see that.
yeah.
All right, that was a little confusing. Yeah, I don't think of that when we came right into it.
B.
Okay,
Okay.
makes sense.
Cool. Anything else, or shall we
Continue
sing?
from there. Oh, you want
Let's sing.
to?
Yeah, not that we haven't been singing, but singing with words.
Oh, I like singing with words so much
Yeah.
better.
We finished this.
Yep. So we'll sing it through in its entirety once, kind of slow, and then we'll sing it through at a much more moderate tempo. Na na, Lord, I have cried unto Thee. Hearken unto me. Hearken unto me. O Lord. Lord, I have cried unto Thee. Hearken unto me. Attend to the voice of my supplication. When I cry unto thee, hearken unto me. O Lord. Keep going. Let my prayer be set forth as incense before thee. The lifting up of my hands as an evening sacrifice, hearken unto me, O Lord. All right, how's that?
Third line.
Third
Evening
line.
sacrifice.
All right.
My prayer.
And the one thing, if it's faster, it's easier to get through sacrifice.
Yes.
The pollen's getting.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, good.
Oh, no problem. But that one. As an evening sacrifice. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. That's right. I'm getting to the end of my breath capacity at the
Yeah.
end of that line. I'll have to work on that.
Yeah, that's what I've got to work on.
Yeah, I mean, some of these lines are just long lines, and especially at this speed, it's kind of like I'm running out of air now. I'm still running out of air. And then it makes the next line even harder because you're kind of like, I'm running out of air.
Yes.
So, yes. I guess doing them at a slow pace is a beneficial thing, because then when you do them at tempo, it's kind of like, oh,
no
this is easy.
problem.
I can do this.
I can do it.
The only thing, and I'll say something when John's back, but there are a bunch of little bouncy things.
I was hearing the bouncy thing.
Yeah, and there's one time, like I said in the beginning, Lord, I've cried, hearken. That's what I want to do. I'm not sure if everyone would do that, but hearken unto me. I think a lot of people would kind of make that the sharp. Yeah, and then there's a bunch of bouncy things.
And why couldn't they come up with a little bouncy notation?
There might have, in antiquity, maybe there was.
everything.
So what you, and the let's say the third line of Lord, I have cried. So, hearken unto me. So, me. And that's because you're re-articulating the E sound. So it'd be me, which is not fun.
I think that's the first time I heard that. I kind of went, now I can see why he does the bouncy thing. Yeah, because it is kind of.
It makes it easy.
Fun, yeah.
It makes it more fun. It makes it easier to sing, actually, as opposed to me. So me. Oh. So oh. Fluttering again into the E sound, because otherwise, oh. Either you somehow have to re-articulate. Otherwise, it doesn't really speak.
Yeah.
So, oh Lord. If there was a word there, it'd be different, but because there's no word there. We're looking at the third line of Lord I Cried.
Yes, I see it.
Yeah,
So,
bouncy things.
little bouncy
Yeah.
things. So
Got
there's
it, got it.
2 right there. Was there anything else that I bounced on? I don't think. I think it was pretty much just times like that. Oh, okay. Next page. Hearken unto me. The 1, 2, 3, 4th line. Down. Hearken unto me. That's another flutter just because of the E sound again. Me, which would be boring. So, me, oh Lord. And there's one more thing that I did, and I remember doing it. It's kind of subconscious. Let my prayer be said. Oh, yeah, okay. I don't know if this is a Pittsburgh thing or not. I don't think it is. I think it's a general thing. I let my prayer, the first line of let my prayer. Let my prayer be set. So there's another flutter in there because set forth. I don't know. It's not interesting enough. So set forth. If that's clear. Okay. Let's sing it through one more time.
Remind me what's going on here with an evening. Those 2 signs, those 2 little symbols. The one, and that's the general sharp, right? Not the general sharp, that's just
the one
specific
use.
sharp.
Yeah, the specific sharp.
So then underneath that, was that K there?
Yep.
It's a
Under
K,
evening?
and that makes it diatonic.
Yeah, the K that makes that K in the diatonic scale.
So why is it in marking the fact that we're in are we already in diatonic? Did we change from diatonic someplace where?
We are in diatonic, and I think why it's probably there is they may have forgotten to put a general flat in somewhere.
Before?
Yeah, there's no general flat
There's
anywhere.
because a couple of specific sharps up under prayer, and then there's really nothing else until you get there, and it's like it's turning off something that's not turned on.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they were supposed to put a general flat on 4th. Let my prayer be set 4th, and then it would make more sense. Yeah, I think there's probably a missing. Otherwise, there'd be no reason really to put it there.
Right.
So
The lifting up, would that be the area where you needed to knee Zoe?
Well, I think-
Zoe has to be flat there.
yeah, Zoe has to be
So
flat
we-
there, but I think you would have put the general flat earlier, because if you didn't have the general flat if you didn't have the general flat at all, you would have the lifting up of my hands would be the lifting up. Like you could sing it that way, and you don't want that, just because that's not how that's not how this works. So I think they're probably just missing a general flat earlier.
Put it in parentheses.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you're correct that you really, considering there's no general flat anywhere, there's no reason for you to have it.
All right.
Okay, so shall we sing it through a little faster?
Yeah.
From the top.
From
From the top.
Yeah, you know the palm.
Yeah.
My voice in my ears are going.
I feel it in my throat. I don't
Yeah.
know if anyone else.
I feel a little tickle.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel that, and I couldn't even sing the last time we did.
Myself, I'm using you guys as a moment to swallow and to breathe, so that you might not
just
even
me,
notice it.
It's a general,
Yeah.
universal problem.
Yeah, this is where I start bringing up my nasal rinse and start getting all sorts of things. All right, Lord, I've cried. Na na, Lord, I have cried unto thee. Hearken unto me. Hearken unto me, O Lord. Lord, I have cried unto thee, hearken unto me, attend to the voice of my supplication. When I cry unto thee, hearken unto me, O Lord. Okay, that was fast.
That was better.
But
That's what it should be.
I would say that's kind of a good tempo. It keeps the rhythms going. The vo voice of. It keeps all those rhythms kind of feeding into each other as opposed to becoming laborious and kind of pedantic. So, and Patricia, did I do something in supplication that you? Because I did something and then I saw you kind of be like.
Yeah, like it's something about overapplication that I'm kind of going. What did he just do? I wasn't expecting that.
Okay, so what I did, attend to the voice of my supplication.
Yeah.
Supplication. And I didn't have to do that. I chose to do it. But because I don't know, you have the kandimata right after it, and you also have the bar putting them together. It kind of speaks that it needs something. Play or play, and then I also fluttered right after that. So supplication.
Yeah.
It's just
I apologize for that. It might be the Pittsburgh School of Music. No, I mean, people would do that. Actually, where I more heard it down, I forget where. I think it was in Greece when I heard the play more than in Pittsburgh because we didn't always do that. But the guy who studied in Greece, who is from Pittsburgh, he was the one that knew that you would do that sometimes. He was oftentimes of a different school of thought, so he would chant things in a very specific fashion because of his teacher was from a very specific city and taught in a very specific style. But he still knew other ways to do it. So, but yeah, I would say it's traditional. I don't think it's untraditional. Does that clarify what I did?
Yeah, now I understand why I started for a reason.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I when I did that, I was kind of like, oh. I was like,
she's starting to hear these things.
She knows.
He's going off script.
Yeah. Going off book. I'm just ad-libbing then. But I think, I can't guarantee, but hopefully, in general, I will either read it at face value or do that.
And when we're at the stand, I actually am now hearing you do it, and it doesn't throw me.
Okay.
It's just that since I'm uncertain about that symbol, I thought maybe I misread it.
Okay.
So that's what startled me and all that.
Yeah.
But then I went, no, I think I did that right. Maybe it's a fluttery thing, so that's why I didn't make a note.
And what I am noticing, at least with all of you, is that there's certain times when I go na-dum, and then you're all in general doing that, which I guess is a good thing. I'm not leading you astray. I'm positive I'm not leading you astray, but it's one of those things where it's like, oh, they're picking up all these times when you see that specific thing, you kind of flip it over. So let's do that, my prayer, and then I think we're done. Na na, let my prayer be set forth as incense before thee. The lifting up of my
actually see when I go, this would be a good place for Flutter.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
It eventually you kind of start wanting to flutter on your own in
Yes.
certain circumstances, irrespective of when I.
Then you're going to have to turn around and hit me and just say, stop it.
Nothing.
don't
Only
flutter.
I Flutter.
If we.
We don't flutter here.
Yeah.
It's obvious you don't flutter.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
Um,
silly human. Yes.
And the only thing I would say before we're done on the third line, as an evening sacrifice, it might be good to breathe before sacrifice unless you really think you're going to make it all the way. That way you don't break sacrifice.
Oh yeah, that's a long one, isn't it?
Yeah, but the only other thing to say there is what I did this time, I did evening sacrifice. The only reason why I put Zo where that is, we'll have to fix that at some point. The only reason why I put Zo where it is because the Isan went down to Ga. So it kind of, in my mind, if the Isan's going to go down to Ga, then you kind of want Zo to be flat on the way back down.
Oh, I see. Okay.
If the Isan didn't change later, evening sacrifice. If let's say the Isan changed on Feis instead of on Riff, then I would probably keep Zo natural the entire way until ending on Feis.
Oh, I gotta admit, he's on or not, but he did sound natural to me. I mean, like that's what you would do.
Yeah. So depending upon where the Isan's place might change how you're gonna sing it, just because it's music. Depending upon what sounds good and how it fits with the
Yeah,
Isan.
because there's nothing telling you to flatten the Zo, right?
No, and that's kind of up to your discretion based upon how the notes attract each other. So because it's just an attraction of notes and how we're singing it, if the Isan hits Ga and you think I'm gonna keep Zo natural, that's kind of up to your prerogative. It might not be as traditional, but it's not incorrect, I would say. But in general, if Ga is placed where it is, I would flat Zo right after it. And then, but if Ga is on Feis right at the end of the line, I would keep Zo natural. So.
Okay.
And any questions
So
before?
the niceties will pick up after a while, no doubt.
Yeah. Any questions? Or?
No.
All right, so we're done.
So cool.
Okay.